Hi everybody, I'm Chad Owens with Myers Network Solutions, and I'm here to give you a very special IT security bulletin update. I've been digging a lot and into cybersecurity and attending cybersecurity conferences and just wanted to see what's happening in the last year. And so this is really important for small and medium business owners to know some of this stuff and kind of why, if you're one of our customers, we've been contacting you asking to talk about security. Okay, so let's get into it. It's going to get a little bit technical, but I'm going to try and go as quickly as I can. This video is going to be a little bit longer than normal, so please bear with because there's a lot of information in here that I think will benefit you. Okay, let's first start out. You're going to see here, according to this slide, that malware has been targeting Windows 7. There's been a huge increase in the last year. Now I'm borrowing a lot of information here from our friends over at WebRoot. They've been compiling statistics and they did this report, and so I'm borrowing some of their slides here because I think they're really useful, and especially in our context. But what we're seeing here is Windows 7. Microsoft end-of-lifed it not long ago, a couple months ago, and as a result it's no longer getting security updates, which means that hackers are targeting Windows 7 more and you're less secure. So you'll see over here you have Windows 10, and that is actually below the average as far as hacks right now, but Windows 7 is way up, over 125% up above what's been going on in the past. And so we really need to get across the message to you that we need to upgrade that Windows 7. We also need to upgrade your Windows 8.1. Okay, so let's get that message through to you. Just kind of a graphic here, and there's another graphic representation that we can do with it. Infections by region and industry. Okay, this is just kind of showing you where some of the hacks are coming from, and you've probably heard this term geofencing, and the idea is that we will cordon off a certain area of the world and say this is probably a hack, which is great and everything, except for in the future we're gonna talk about it later on a little bit, why that geofencing doesn't quite work as well as it could. It does work, just not as well as it could. And so what we're seeing here is if all these infections are coming through, well, look at these countries that have these infections. They're actually running a lot of Windows 7. They're running a lot of older operating systems, and if your small business is running older operating systems, if you're not all the way up on the latest servers, Windows 2012 at least, and Windows 10 at least on your desktops, then you are more vulnerable to these types of attacks. Okay, moving on, malware. Malware actually seems to attack these chief four areas. This is an interesting statistic: app data, temp, cache, and winter. Now this is maybe too technical at this time, but what this tells us is that if we were to just simply lock down app data and temp, and we could do this on your computer, or we could do this through a group profile, we call it like a hardening process, we could eliminate nearly 60% of the attacks that happen on your desktops. So we can lock that down for malware, so that's a good thing. And if you haven't been contacted by us to do a free security scan of your network, you really should get that in. We've probably been contacting you or asking for a chance to meet. Moving on to the top 10 risks for URLs, and you'll see here that the US has a huge region risk for high-risk URLs. What this means is, yes, we're used to hackers being in Russia and in China, but they've gotten smart to the fact that we're locking them out simply because they're coming from Russia and China. And so what we have done is we have made it so they have moved their hacking sites into the US. So now you go to a website and it's no longer in Russia. It's no longer russia.com or whatever it is. .ru. It's no longer those types of websites. They're all inside of the US because they know that you're more likely to trust what's going on in the US. So why are small and medium businesses primary targets? Well, the number one reason that you will get hacked is likely because one of your employees clicks on something that they shouldn't be clicking on. They put in some information they shouldn't be putting information on, and it's completely understandable. As a small medium business, you're very busy. You don't have the finances to pay a six-figure security specialist. You have naive users who are still thinking that, well, I've got antivirus installed so I'm protected, which is outdated thinking. You've got email coming in all the time in the way you conduct your business, and so you have all these exposures happening at the same time in your situation. And one of the things that we can do to combat that is education. That's part of what this video is, trying to give you some education. So here is a bit of a technical demonstration of what a hack looks like. I'm not going to get into it too much, but I'm interested in showing you up here this this Word doc, this Enable Macros button here. Yeah, see that? Now, you probably see this all the time. you're probably opening up a Word or an Excel document, and at the top you see this yellow bar that says enable content or enable editing. Well, what's actually happening now is to bypass your firewall and a lot of your security measures, hackers are sending an email with a Word doc or an Excel doc saying something like, click here to apply now, or whatever it is, and you have to type something into that document, but you can't. So you click this button, and as soon as you click this button, in the background what you don't see is it opens up PowerShell and it starts downloading and all this information, and it's called a payload, and that payload gets installed in your system, and now you've been hacked. Do you know it right away? No. Why? Because hackers are trying to make money off of this hack. So how are they doing it? Well, first thing I want you to hear is that yellow button up there is dangerous, and we can disable it. Part of the hardening process that Myers Network Solutions does will remove that button if you so decided. Actually, the amount of times you need that yellow button there is very slim. You'll find that you hardly ever actually need to use an enable macros button or an enable content button. So just keep that in mind. If I'm hammering in one thought, one of the latest hacks, just ignore that enable content button. Enable macros, enable content, it's all bad. You almost never need macros in a Word or Excel document. And that's like a big Trojan horse. You click that button and then you just bypass a lot of your security measures. So teach your employees to not click that button. If they get a document with that button in it, you're going to have to ask yourself why. And don't open that until somebody who is your security team knows what that button is doing. Okay. Moving on, ransomware. We're seeing a rise in ransomware demands after COVID-19, or during COVID-19. We're seeing that as soon as COVID-19 hit, suddenly the ransoms are being $100,000 requests when the average is $84,000. And also we're seeing downtimes of like 16 days. So this is kind of why a ransomware attack, why they're going after you. It's profitable. What they're doing is they're downloading an application on your computer and turning your computer into a cryptocurrency miner. So they log your mouse clicks and your keyboard clicks, and they find out when your computer's not being used, and then they turn on this miner and it goes out of the internet and it mines cryptocurrency. And then they make money, even if it's only 25 cents a day per computer. If they get 100,000 computers, it's a lot of money. Now, a lot of people don't mine cryptocurrency because they have to pay for the electricity, and that means if you're paying 30 cents a day in electricity and only making 25 cents a day mining, it doesn't make any sense to mine cryptocurrency. But if you're a hacker and somebody else is paying for the electricity, and all you have to do is get their systems to click on the Word document that we just talked about, then they're making tons of money. They're making money hand over fist. So you might think, well, this sounds kind of complicated. Won't I notice? You will only notice if you're sitting there at your computer at the time that the miner becomes active, and they have all these tricks in there so that you won't be. Okay, so that's an interesting thing that the hackers are doing. Really, they're not really after destroying your system. And what kind of systems are we seeing that are getting these miner hacks? Windows 7. You'll see here that by this big blue picture on the pie, Windows 7 machines. So we're going back to that whole upgrade your operating system. With cybersecurity, you have to constantly be vigilant, constantly be upgrading, constantly staying on top of your security. Okay, so let's move on here. Remote desktop protocol. So I've probably talked about this way too often. It's been going on for many years, but remote desktop protocol attacks, they need to be stopped. You need to have remote desktop protocol closed on your firewall. If you're using a service that has remote desktop protocol from the outside, to the internet, it needs to be shut down. Hackers make packets that look like remote desktop and they're in. It's one of the biggest vulnerabilities, and Microsoft knows it, and nobody should be using this anymore from outside. And it's been going way up since COVID because people are trying remote desktop into their computers at work to get things done. So if you have this open, I'll be able to tell you in a matter of seconds, and we should shut it down quickly. Okay, another thing we saw because of COVID was these websites are coming out. Email addresses, domains that have the word coronavirus or COVID in them. So we're seeing opportunistic hacking here. People getting emails, get your free coronavirus test, get your free COVID-19 test here. Click on this link to find out if you might have COVID-19. And then it takes you to covid19test.com, right? All these fake websites have been just jumping through the roof. Now you see here that we have 2% of those new domains that popped up were malicious. It's 2% of websites. 2% of these COVID-related websites are malicious, and that's a high number because it used to be 0.4. That's the number of malicious websites before. So we're seeing this huge opportunistic hack right now because of COVID. And because a lot of social engineering preys upon your sense of panic and urgency, and that's exactly what COVID has everybody doing right now. They're panicked. Okay, so you think, well, I'm not going to get hacked because hacking takes a lot of skill and nobody's going to target little old me. Hacking doesn't take a lot of skill. Here's an example right here. GanCrab ransomware. This company makes very easy to install, very easy to use payloads where all you have to do is click a button and you've hacked a system. All you have to do is get that into the system. So easy, a kid could do it. All you have to do is Google how to become a hacker. Then you find, well, this website has built the software for me. All I have to do is pay them. How do they get their pay? Well, they give this software away for free. But they hack your system, they start crypto mining, and then they take 30% of whatever it is that they mine. So now I've become a hacker and I've made 70% income for nothing and I had no skills. It's called being a script kiddie. Okay, ransomware. You've all heard this horrible term ransomware and how it's on the rise, but let me tell you, they found a new way to pinch us. Now, you've probably heard me in the past say never pay for ransomware, and that's good. And the way to get around ransomware is to do a restore. Well, hackers have heard this video and heard this saying as well. So what they've done is they've gotten it to the point where they steal your information first, then they put it up on a website for auction, and then they blackmail you and say, if you don't give us our ransom, we're going to sell your information. Now, what happens? If that happens, you are then subject to these new privacy law fees, $50 per line item. So let's say you have an Excel spreadsheet and you've got 1,000 lines in there. And in 1,000 lines, every line is maybe you have 2 lines per customer, maybe 1 line per customer. It has an address and a phone number. Because of the Privacy of Information Act and the way you're supposed to deal with this information, if that gets out there, you're liable to pay $50 for every single line in that 1,000 line SQL file. And that's not very long. That's not a very long file. It's not even a long Excel file. So if your customer database gets hacked, you're talking about 50 grand just in that example right there. It's a lot of money that can add up really quick in fees, and so they've kind of pinched you in this way to pay them. So ransomware now has you coming and going. So you have to defend against a ransomware attack. You can't simply rely on backups to recover you. You have to defend against it ahead of time. Okay, let's move on from that. So if some of this sounds like I'm scaring you, if some of this is like, I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight because all these thoughts I'm just scared my business could fall apart at any time, I understand right now. We here at Myers Network Solutions know that because of COVID, that you're scared of what's the future of your company. And I'm not trying to fearmonger you. I'm not trying to scare you with lies. What I'm trying to do is inform you, and with scary truths. These are truths. Now, we've talked about remote desktop. We've talked a little bit about phishing. But here's something new. Normally with phishing, you're going to a bad website. But this last year, we've found that 1 in 4 websites that are bad for your system aren't fake websites. They're not bad websites. What they are is the hackers got smart and they went to good websites and they hacked the good websites and put something malicious in there. Some little subdirectory that you already trust. That's a very clever way of doing it. And so what ends up happening is you go to Amazon.com or you go to some website and you trust that website. You do that website in your daily business, but because of an outdated software, outdated WordPress, outdated web server, whatever it is, it's outdated, it hasn't been updated, the server hasn't been updated, security updates haven't been applied, whatever it is, and they've compromised that. Now you would think that this would all be adult websites and pirating websites, and those are the bad websites, right? But actually, according to WebRoot here, 19.87% of those malicious websites were manufacturing websites. And I was trying to think, why is it manufacturing websites? It turns out because a lot of manufacturing handles the customers saying upload your design here and get your information here so that we can manufacture and distribute. All of this whole chain of process happens via websites and happens oftentimes via outdated websites. And so if you are working with or part of the manufacturing industry, you should be aware of the fact that if your website hasn't been maintained and updated in a while, it may have already been hacked and is being used to hack other customers. So that's something you need to keep in mind. So here's some fake phishing sites. You'll see these are the top 10 sites that are impersonated. So if you see an email coming from one of these top 10, odds are it's a fake phishing email and you can ignore it. Microsoft, Apple, and Google are very, very popular. Why? Well, because they all use cloud sharing. They all use a cloud drive like OneDrive or Google Drive or iCloud. They all use the cloud. And so that's very useful if you've got information on those three, or you put information up there, photos, videos, customer information. Very popular phishing target. So just keep that in mind. If you see one of these top 10 in your email, suspect it immediately. It grew by 640% last year. Phishing URLs work because we keep falling for them. We need to educate people. Part of this video is to educate you and your team. It's an ongoing fight, and you need to stay updated. And Myers Network Solutions is here to help you stay updated. We go to security conferences. We read articles. We investigate the latest technology. We talk with vendors and partners, and we try to find out the best way to secure your network. But we also need your cooperation. We need you to let us in to do a scan of your network to give you advice on what has to happen. Okay, so this is sort of gets lumped in with phishing, but this is business email compromise. And this is really, it's not phishing at all. This is just simply a con game. It's a confidence scam. And the damages, however, to this are way up. Now let me explain what it is. This is basically a trick to your employees. It's an email, but that email doesn't have an attachment. It doesn't have a link, right? And you've trained your employees to look for emails that have attachments and links and ignore them. But this isn't that. It's your name is Emily Walker, for example, and your boss's boss, John Carpenter, sends you an email and says, "Oh, Emily, I forgot. Could you order a couple of iTunes gift cards or a couple of Target gift cards for clients and let me know what the information is?" And so Emily goes, "Oh yeah, my boss's boss needs this. This isn't an odd request at all. He asks me to do stuff all the time like this." So they go on to Target.com. They get the serial numbers for $100. Let's say they buy 5 $100 gift certificates, and then they send them to John. Well, John was actually a hacker. It's a fake email. So now John has this $500 Target or Amazon or iTunes gift certificate, and he's going to use those for whatever he wants now. So what we've been seeing is these scams have just been really profitable lately because a lot of people are working from home, and so a lot of people are operating via email. How do you defend against this? Train all of your team that if you ever make a financial request of them, that they should call you and ask you, should I be doing this? Make sure that they're trained, or get out of the habit of asking them via email to buy things, and tell them, I'll always call you if there's going to be a financial transaction. I've seen customers fall for this. I've seen customers come very close to losing a lot of money, and I've seen customers lose money from this. And the only way to fight against this is good habits inside your business, good training. Never do financial transactions just via email. Okay? All right. The next one. So you see here, by the way, that $26 billion in losses in the last 3 years because of this kind of confidence scam. And it requires almost no technical know-how. It's just a con game. So be on alert for that. Okay, so here at Myers Network Solutions, we have come up with some new security offerings, and I want to talk to you about them just briefly. I want you to think of cybersecurity like a home alarm. Okay, let's take a lot of this technical aspects out of it. Right now, what you have in your company is basic, we call core. You've got some security locks on the doors, but you really don't have an alarm, right? You're relatively secure. You can sleep at night because you're in a safe neighborhood and you haven't been hacked before, and your IT team is all over it because they do this and do that, but you're really at what we about 4 years ago would consider this good, but now it's actually just the basic. Now we have these two new offerings. One is advanced and one is comprehensive. And if you're thinking about your system like, well, my IT guys are handling this, it could be that if you haven't had a complete security review in the last year, that you're already out of date. We've seen so many changes in the last year alone that your IT team should be constantly monitoring and constantly bringing you suggestions. As a small business owner, if your IT team is not overwhelming you with requests to upgrade and overwhelming you with requests to get more secure, then they're not doing their job. So let's talk about these two solutions. We have the advanced and we have the comprehensive. And these are our two new service offerings as of this year. If you have the previous core, we need to contact you and we need to do a security scan of your network and we need to tell you which one of these stacks you need. And the advanced, now we're thinking of advanced as you've installed an alarm system, and now you have window sensors and door sensors and video cameras. Somebody enters your house, you're going to know right away. You're going to know all about it. Your alarms are going to go off all over the place. Somebody opens a window, tries to break in, you're going to know. Somebody breaks your glass, you're going to know. Somebody walks by the front of your door, you're going to know. This is the advanced system, and it's well advanced from what you're currently at, which if you're at the core. If you do not have our advanced security package, you're actually behind the risk line now. You need to catch up. But now we take all of that advanced stuff, and we know now your house is secure. It's got the strong locks, but also if somebody breaks through those locks, breaks through the window, you know all about it. But can you stop them? Well, if you respond quickly enough, and if it happens at the right time, and you're looking at the right time, yes. Otherwise, you wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, you have all these email alarms that tell you exactly what happened and when, but nothing stopped. But our comprehensive, now this is all of that in a bag of chips. We add these 2 armed security guards in front of your house now. Now these armed security guards keep all threats away, and if something happens, somebody approaches your house, they shut it down, they throw them down on the ground, they put them in cuffs, and they're not getting in. And that is what our comprehensive system is like. The difference really is mitigation and response. So we're talking with, if you're on core, you need to be upgraded. Contact us right away. Respond to our emails, respond to our calls, talk to us right away. If we want to move you to the very least, we want to move you to advanced. And that'll put you above the risk line. And comprehensive, nobody is doing anything on your network without you knowing about it. Now here at Myers Network Solutions, cybersecurity is something that we're very concerned in watching for you. We know that as a business owner, this is overwhelming, all of this information coming at you. You're thinking during COVID, am I even going to be able to survive this economic recession that's happening because of all this? Am I going to be able to handle this? And the answer is you should not have to be the person who has to think about all your security needs. Myers Network Solutions is here for you. What we need from you is a flexibility to be able to meet and talk about these things. Now, because of COVID, we're not out here trying to profiteer from this. I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm not trying to make up lies. You can see from the statistics, research it on your own if you want. What I'm telling you is 100% accurate as far as this cybersecurity. What we're willing to do here is give you a free exam of your network. We want to examine your network security, do some port scans, do some dark web checks, and we're offering that free. On top of that, if you act now and contact us, we're even going to throw in free upgrades. If you need a free firewall upgrade, if you need a free Windows 7 upgrade to Windows 10, we're going to throw in our labor for free right now because we know that it's a tough time for small businesses, and we know that right now you're thinking, I don't even want to think about security right now or anything that's going to cost me extra because I don't know if I'm going to survive. And yet we're seeing all this extra attacks during COVID. We're seeing all this stuff happening. They're taking advantage of your weakness right now. And so what we want to do is we want to offer you some strength, and we want to do it at as little extra charge as possible. We want to throw in some of our free labor. We want to come alongside you because we really do care about the small and medium business owners. Anyway, we're the only ones out there, we believe, that are offering security at this level, at the 6-figure income cybersecurity specialist prices. You can't afford those. You can't afford to pay somebody to come in here and do all that. So we're wanting to do that for you as a free gift right now during COVID. So contact us at Myers Network Solutions. Hope I haven't scared you too much. I hope I've informed you, and I hope you have a good day.